platform. If you are interested in sort of my musings on the industry, that's my Twitter handle. The Twitter handle we use at Inkling is @Inkling. We are a publishing platform that started out with the iPad, and we started out thinking about the most difficult content there is today in print, bringing that to digital and bringing it to the iPad, which was textbooks. But we've gone way beyond that. We now publish all of our content into a really advanced HTML5 reader for any modern web browser, Chrome and Safari to start. And we've also started to release our content to the iPhone, and it's absolutely gorgeous in all of these contexts. So if you like what I'm showing you, there's a whole team back in San Francisco. We're roughly 100 people now. They're all going to be watching to see what you think. So say good and bad things as you see fit about what I'm showing you. There's a little bit of philosophy that I always like to start with. The book as a print device is one of the most important information technology devices in human history. It's been used to communicate information through the ages for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's difficult to argue that even the internet has surpassed the book as a means of communication to advance humanity. But it's just a canvas. It's just a canvas for information that has constraints and opportunities like any other canvas, a postcard, these projectors. Books allow us to print things very inexpensively. There's no blue screen of death. You don't forget your password. And they're very, very durable. I can put them on the shelf and wait 100 years and go grab the book again and it works just fine. These are opportunities, but there are constraints like the printed page where to get more content onto that page I have to shrink the font size or remove some images. This is a totally different canvas. The iPad is just that. It's a canvas for information, but it has a whole different set of opportunities and constraints. Constraints like it's $500 before you can put anything on it. Opportunities like it can be updated on the fly or you can present dynamic and interactive information. And to treat these two canvases as one and the same is short-sighted folly. The notion that we should spend our time converting books to e-books, yes, I understand why that's necessary in the short term. It's a very ready source of information, but it is not the future of publishing. And anything that we do that tries to accommodate this is almost necessarily a short-term stopgap, which 10 years from now we're going to look back at and think, geez, people paid money for that? There's two things that we do today. The first thing we do is we manufacture text. And actually, for the person who presented before me or many fiction novels, that's perfectly acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. Text is what you want. You want to be isolated. You want to curl up and read a good book. But we mass produce this stuff, and it's all the same. Visually, the way that it looks, the way that it flows, it's all identical. And there's a huge machine overseas to produce these titles for us as publishers that we don't have to think about. Now, the alternative is to see these beautiful apps that sit in the App Store. But those are what we call in Inkling Fabergé eggs. They're these handcrafted, hand-coded, hand-tuned works of art that cannot scale and cannot bring us to the $60 billion in publishing revenue that we have in the United States today if we have to have legions of developers sit there and hand-tune things. It's an endless maze that doesn't scale. So the happy medium has to be something that is beautiful but scalable, and you have to compromise on either end of that scale. It can't be as infinitely scalable as just pumping text, but it can't be as beautiful as every single app in the App Store, but it can come really, really close. And I want to show you what Inkling does today that makes this whole world a whole lot better. So let's switch the video to the iPad. And I'm going to quickly show you Inkling on the iPad. I'm going to show it to you on the iPhone, and then I'm going to show it to you in our brand new HTML5 reader. So the Inkling app down there at the bottom, I'm going to crack it open, and you see my home screen has all the titles that I have downloaded. You'll see Pearson content, Wiley content, O'Reilly content. And to hop into a textbook as an example, here's Campbell Biology. It's Pearson's best-selling science title. And I can hop into a card, and it pushes it in, and I can scroll vertically through this card. If I see a word that I don't understand, I can tap on that word for a definition, and it pops up. And if I don't understand how to pronounce it, I can just hit play.
Nucleus.
And it gives me a human pronunciation.
Nuclear envelope.
I can tap on an image hotspot, which puts it in an exhibit where I can now drill down visually. So if you're right into the nucleus, I can see the nuclear core. And if I want, I can even zoom in and see an electron micrograph of the nucleus. All of this, a hierarchy of images, organized into a particular interactive blueprint. And there are dozens of interactive blueprints supported in the platform. I can test myself on complex concepts. I can flip through slideshows. All kinds of beautiful ways to interact with this content. We can even take any arbitrary molecular structure and we can render that molecule out in 3D. So if I go down to the molecular basis of inheritance, I can tap on a DNA molecule and I'll see that rendered out beautifully in 3D for the student to interact with. Very straightforward. Now that's a science book just by way of contrast. Let me show you something that's been doing incredibly well for us and for Wiley, which is Frommer's Guides, Frommer's Travel Guides. If I tap on Frommer's France, you'll notice that it's a standalone application that's merchandised in the App Store, as well as being merchandised within Inkling. And when I hop into Frommer's France, it took me into Paris and Ile-de-France, so I can scroll. You can see there are all kinds of things for me to look at here. There's a slideshow. If I were online, it would actually be fetching the weather and showing it to me. I can hop into Paris for 2 days, see a nice itinerary for Paris, beautiful images. I can tap, pushes in a nice big view of this, looks gorgeous on a retina display on the iPad. I can hop down and take a tour map, so I can actually walk through a guided tour of what I'm going to do for my 2 days in Paris just by tapping. Now, wouldn't it be beautiful if I could simply take this content and throw it on my iPhone so that when I walk out into the street in Paris, I don't have to lug my iPad with me? Oh, and wouldn't it also be great if, as a publisher, I didn't have to build 2 apps? So I'm going to plug in my iPad, or my iPhone rather, my mini iPad, my iPad mini. And here's my iPhone. I'm going to tap on the Frommer's folder, some of our destinations. Tap on France. And it hops me right to where you just saw me leave off. And I can again tap on a slideshow, slide in with my finger across the bottom and see all of this beautiful artwork local on my phone. And that tour, if I want to hop into Paris in 2 days, scroll and tap on the tour map. But the interface here is very different because now I'm just optimizing it for my thumb, so I can just swipe and it takes me to different destinations in the content, updating the map as it goes, and I can scroll vertically. If I tap on a phone number for a particular destination, it'll offer to simply dial that phone number for me. All of this stuff happening automatically in the Inkling platform. So the iPhone interface is very different. Let's switch back to the laptop on the projector and have a look at what it looks like on the web. So here I am in Inkling's HTML5 reader. It's also a store. And when I tap on my library, I can see all my titles, and here it is loading up nothing because it looks like I'm not actually on the internet. Let's see what happens here. So, there we go. So it's grabbing all this content dynamically. Here's that same card that I showed you on both the iPad and the iPhone. Here I'm online, so you can see that it's run out and grab weather. It's also caching this on my iPad and my iPhone, so I can see the 4-day forecast with live widgets embedded in the content. If I tap on Paris in 1 day, it hops to Paris in 1 day, instantly loads it up, grabs all this beautiful imagery. You can see here on the right-hand side there is some commentary in this card. Rob and I have been commenting. We have a conversation with each other, and you'll note that when I hit the plus button there, it actually reflowed all the content. So there's no fixed layout magic here. It's actually all being done on the fly. Same thing, popovers that I can tap for more information. Notes here on the left-hand side. Absolutely gorgeous experience on the web too. And you can imagine that for a person who uses this kind of content, whether they're learning how to garden in the backyard, whether they're looking to travel to Paris, sometimes you want to sit in front of your computer to get this data, sometimes you want to have it on your iPad, sometimes you want to have it on your iPhone, and you definitely don't want it to look junky in one place versus another. It all has to look beautiful as it does here in Inkling. Now I could demo Inkling all day for you. There's so much cool stuff in the platform, and I encourage you to go grab 2 chapters of any of the books that we offer and try it for yourself. But I'll tell you a little story about how we got to where we are. When we came into this, we were really surprised by how messy the publishing industry is. There's some laughter. Now we're nerds from Silicon Valley, so we came in expecting to see all kinds of databases with all this content nicely structured, and we were just going to sort that stuff out and make it into beautiful Inkling experiences. And as it turns out, the publishing industry has not done a great job of managing its data. So we had to come in and start to untangle this huge mess of data, figure out what was what assets belong to what titles, in order to produce content and have people collaborate around solving for that problem. And so we did what we do. We set to writing software tools to help deal with this massive problem. And so the Tools for Change conference in February, we introduced Inkling habitat.